Roll call?
Uh,
Kaya.
Ryan?
Nikki.
Kyle.
And Steven? Welcome back, everybody, to episode 34 of the Mulemaster campaign with the Odd Jobs. On our last adventure with our favorite adventuring group from Mulemaster, Rornak had died after a brutal
Yeah.
battle against the Cult of the Black Earth. While victorious and successfully negating the formation of a devastation orb and halting the abusing of an elemental node deep beneath the earth below Mulemaster, our very own Rornak did fall in this battle. As the party reigned victorious, they held good on their deal with Mercivis, who copied the pages of the Elemental Codex using a strange, inky silver liquid to almost wipe the pages onto a blank book for further study. Coming to a respectful arrangement, and with the future prospects of perhaps a conflict out towards Meridorium, or Meridoria. Dekuizuku, is the name of the city. I had the hardest time pronouncing it. But learning of some of the strife and invasion of demonic and fire giant forces at the outpost of Sith Morcane, deep in the Underdark, to the west of Mulemaster. The party scrounged through the kind of remnants of this dissipating elemental node, receiving a couple gems, the elemental codex, and the body of Fergus Boltsmelter and Rornak. Traveling out of the Underdark back onto the streets of Mulemaster. The party immediately went to the Tower of Arcane Might, the home of the Brotherhood of the Cloaks, and there paid the fee of 1,250 gold pieces to have the senior cloak, Rastal Shan, return Rornak's soul from its residing places beyond the mortal plane. Returning back to life, the party embraced Rornak. Later, Rornak having a conversation with the senior cloak himself, seemingly noticing the strange circumstances of Rornak's return and continued life, instructing him to suss out the source of this entanglement with the mind flare known as Vonquo, deep within the Earthspur Mountains to the east of Mulemaster. The rest of the party decided to take a day of rest, allowing Rornak to recover from his brief embrace of death. Joe headed outside of Mulemaster after checking in with the Avondale, who seemed to be continuing on her journey towards the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, a large snowstorm making Yavandale's attention rather divided, but she had successfully found Marika. Before Joe headed out into kind of the pseudo-nature lands outside of Mulemaster, spending the night and spending the day just kind of being with Aquila and spending some time away from the city of Mulemaster, gathering himself. Freddy spent his day off continuing to study the Elemental Codex, and whilst not successful in uncovering the secrets of binding elementals to weapons, did get to learn a variety of new spells. Real quick, Freddy, what were those 3 spells that you have now learned?
I learned Magic Mouth. I learned Illusory Script and Alarm. I think that was it.
I believe so. That sounds about right. Gaining some new spells from the Elemental Codex, but with many secrets still to be discerned. Freddy spent the day, like the big old nerd he secretly is, in the Tower of Arcane Might, studying the Elemental Codex. Jasper, after returning from her adventure, spent, I believe, one part of the day speaking with Eckwards, receiving a potion from the Drakehead that they had given a few days before. From the Chimera, I suppose I should say Draconic Chimera Head, receiving a potion of Dragon's Breath. Kaya, that does work. When ingesting the potion, it does work like the spell Dragon's Breath. It only does fire, obviously, and the DC is a DC 12 Dexterity saving throw. You may use it as a bonus action. It lasts for 1 minute. Does 3d6 fire damage in a 15-foot cone. Non-concentration for you because it is indeed a potion. Potions do not require concentrations. Receiving the potion from Ekwars and giving him an update on the progress being made to investigate the Silk Route trade. Jasper then headed over to the Windsnug Hearth, meeting Ilva, and continued to educate her on the finer parts of being a Zora. Whilst it wasn't an incredibly learned day studying what it takes to be a Zora, it was a quite pleasant time as Jasper / Lapis continued to mold Ilva into, in many ways, her replacement. Finally, Rornak returned to the House of Suffering after a conversation and spent time meditating and trying to suss out the nature of his existence, the powers that hold sway over him, speaking with Ilmater and finding some semblance of peace with those answers. Rornak continues to rest. Before we return back to our party, there's one small thing I forgot to mention, which was the returning of Fergus's body to Crewmeg, the owner of the Oxpit Tavern. While Crewmeg was obviously hurt by the loss of his friend, he seemed to take the news with a Mole Master stride, instead focusing on work, offering the party their rooms as per usual. However, Fergus did inquire about the necklace around, or Crewmeg did inquire about the necklace around Fergus's neck, as he planned to take care of his burial rites. And at this time, that medallion it currently hangs around the neck of our very own Jasper, learning that Fergus's intrusive questions were the results of his use of a medallion of Detect Thoughts, known as Aramecia Wisdom, currently on her person, hidden underneath her armor and cloaks. We turn back to the party. The next day has dawned on the party. So, Rornak, you only have a -1 to your attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws. Trying to come over the great trauma that is returning to life after dying. Ooh, that's
I
not.
can't imagine you just shake it off. So
It takes some time. That's a whole lot of hard hits to take. We'll return as you all wake up in your individual. Jove out in nature. Rornak, I believe you stayed at the House of Suffering. Jasper at the Goss Estates, and of course Freddy at the Tower of the Cloaks. You have all decided previously to re-meet back at the Oxpit Tavern before, I believe, heading over to the Karametriu Estates, using the invitation given to you by Vaj, Lady Astrid Vaj, and, of course, Zora Rosaline Colkin. Is there's anything you all would like to accomplish in the morning before re-meeting back at the Oxpit Tavern? Let me know now.
I think Jasper would ask Kirk if he would, if it was possible for him to, like, find a book or two on the history and religion of Mole Master from our library.
Let me roll investigation as Kirk. We're gonna use the amethyst die because he is a dark elf. That was the right choice. With a 19, rolled naturally, and with his stats, that's still just a 19. He does indeed find a couple of tomes regarding the histories of Mole Master, some of the noble families. Like any gold noble house, you have extensive catalogs about Mulemaster, its histories, its noble lineages, everything a proper blade house would have. So you ask Kirk, and he returns back with like 2 entire armfuls. There's tomes and all leather-bound books, and just drops them with a large poof, and sifts out some of them. And we're talking like some of these tomes are like Fall of Rome style, where it's like a 7-tome series.
Right. I think she'll keep the collection in her room for now. Yeah, and just keep them here, but just, yeah, wanted to have those kind of laid out for.
Absolutely. Kirk retrieves those for you. I'll just go around the table. I'll continue. Jasper, anything else from you?
No, that's it.
I'll move down from Jasper to Jove. Something Jove would like to accomplish, and kind of she wake back up in that little small island, almost island of Jove, if you will, outside of Mulemaster.
I apologize. I had to step away for a second because the dogs were in my room and just barking directly into my mic. So if you were talking to me, I was gone for a second.
I was indeed. It is the day after your guys' day of rest. You are on the island of Jove, that little kind of sliver of nature, only a few hours outside the city of Mulemaster. Is there anything you wanted to accomplish or do before you head to the Oxpit Tavern to rejoin your party and speak to the Karamitris?
Really, I think the only thing that he would try and do is talk to animals again. He's done birds, and birds have been assholes so far. Horses were pretty cool. He was doing a little bit of fishing, so can he try and maybe have a little conversation with a fish?
Sure, go ahead and roll me a survival check.
Ooh, that was really good. Survival, we're looking at 19.
You sit kind of by the edge of your little island of Jove, and kind of attune yourself, bring in that channel. It's almost like taking kind of Aquila's channel that you speak to while she resides in you and focusing it outwards, almost like giving you extra auditory senses. And you see swimming by, as soon as you activate this, it's almost like a small pulse goes out. You see a ripple in the water, and you see a large, dark form swim up and begin to lightly breach the surface. You see it must be at least 6 feet long, gray, almost not quite rubber, just by the sheer muscle of this, in a row of huge teeth, as you have successfully called over a hunter shark. As it comes up to kind of the shallows, and hello.
Oh, well, hello there, sir. You're looking like lunch hasn't been an issue for you in quite some time. I just wanted to reach out and see if you might have seen anything that's messing with your ecosystem, which I can only assume that you're near the top, looking as mighty fine as you do here. I'm a friend of the woods and all the creatures that are in it and around it and in the water, and I've just been noticing some things amiss in the natural world, and well, I was just seeing if you had seen anything down in well, I'm a swimmer, but not as good as you, and just curious.
Let me fill you in on some stuff. Because you see, I've been around the Moonsea a bit. Been all the way through it. Listen, so back up on the west side of things, we had this stuff come in. It was really milky and weird. And if you ate anything talk about, everybody started getting super big. Look at how big my torso fin is. And you look through and you do see that this hunter shark does have, it's like all of his fins are an extra 2 feet long. They just hang out spindly as if he's been exposed to massive growth. there was this really crazy just stuff coming down this river for a while. I mean, the eating was great, but it tasted so weird. And then we went over, we had to get out of there for a minute because stuff started getting really hostile there. We weren't sure if me and the family was going to be able to make it. And we went over to the, the eastern side of the Moonsea. And then we had, all this, this really dark, inky black stuff get into the water, burn like a motherfucker, let me tell you. Like, look on this, and you can see my fins on this side, still dealing with the hurt on that one. You can see what appears to be long acid burns on one side of this fin. It was just some terrible stuff, been told that, acid and water dilute each other, but don't listen to any of that shit. If you get any of that stuff on you, it's awful. And then so it started coming down this way because all the Moonsea just seemed so fucked up the whole time, It's just terrible trying to raise a family in this environment. So we're swimming by through. And then, you ever see like a sea elves? They look a whole lot like you two-leggeds there, except they're like really long and spindly and they look terrible to eat. Anyway, so they like have this whole colony down there. They're doing the whole thing. We try to leave each other alone, They got their things, we got our things. We don't really always get along, the whole, shark versus, folk. But we were going by, there's all these, they got all their, like, weapons out, making all them weird elven noises and stuff. They don't always talk to us, we don't always have these good communications, so they'll let you in right there on that one. But then they, left, and there was, another one of them, looked, not like one of them merfolks, and not you, because you're kind of small, no offense. You're real thick, but you're kind of small. But it was like another two-legged one of yous. And she was had long brown hair, and she was all chained, but floating up. And so every single day, one of them sea elves comes over and shoves a bunch of air inside of her lungs, and then she just hangs there. And I thought about eating her, and it looked like a pretty good meal, but then I got driven off. I'm all weird looking. So I mean, it's just been a hell of a time out here at the Moonsea.
Well, if you're looking for good eats, there's some two-legged fellas that kind of look like me, and maybe some of your kin kind of got together and got real friendly, and they're real nasty fuckers, and they want nothing but harm to come to the waterways of all Moonsea, and frankly, this entire world that we're spinning around on this rock. So usually they look kind of like pale, slimy, not like them elves that have that beauty to them. But if you see any, I guess shark-like features, no offense there, Fred, but they're not fine gentlemen like yourselves just trying to raise a family. They're the folks that are trying to take your livelihood and the livelihood of all the living creatures here, and really just kind of wash it all away, and that'd upset the balance, and nobody wants that now, right?
Oh, you don't get me wrong, man. I would love to just take a bite of anybody who gets their toes in here. Present company excluded. But me and the family, we're getting the hell out of the Moonsea. We're going down to the Sea of Fallen Stars. We're heading south through the River Lys. It's going to be a little weird going from, this kind of more freshwater over to that one. But we'll be just fine. We're getting the hell out of here. I mean, you must have noticed we're not the only ones. Jove, give me a perception check.
That is going to be my passive of 17.
You do notice that while it has been nice in nature, it has been rather quiet. Now that you're outside of kind of the Badlands, outside of Mulmaster, and you can see looking through, a number of creatures are swimming through. There does seem to be a high traffic of them leaving from the Moonsea.
Well, friend, I appreciate you taking out some time to give me the lowdown. Seems like you all have the right idea in getting out of the Moonsea. So, just fair warning, as you're going down this River Lys a little further south of here, those folks that I was telling you about, well, kind of sharky human looking. That's the last time I saw them was down that way. So they're up to no good. They're part of some cult. So just keep yourself clear, keep your kids, keep your wife close, and all blessings to you. And hopefully we can get this thing all sorted out so you can come back to home. Because I don't know about you, but nothing quite like the Moonsea.
Well, born and raised underneath the Moonsea itself, and let me tell you something. One last thing, and you hear Dad! And what you see, what appears to be almost this kind of slightly bioluminescent, probably a teenaged, just starting to past adolescence, sized shark, probably 3 feet or so, swims up and, we gotta go! Hey, all right, you got it. Hey, I'll see you later, landling. Have a good one. And he flips around, you get a little bit of that, like, really long flipper, comes around and gives you a quick, like, tap on the arm, and it's just like this muscle rubbery feeling, just almost feels like it pulls some of the exposed skin off you. It's just, like, rough. Not quite the texture you're expecting, as this shark and his strange bioluminescent son continue down the River Liss, heading out of the Moonsea.
Well, I fist bump a shark, so I think Jove can die now. I think I've officially hit a goal.
Who
But
would have thought sharks would be the chillest animals in the Moonsea?
Honestly, though,
Sharks are apex predators. They survive on lots of stuff. They eat well. The Moonsea's abundant for apex predators.
But besides that, Jove in his time, and he's going to feel even more fulfilled with that and have a better understanding that, yeah, most animals are pretty cool. Just them birds. Birds are assholes. But he'll take that knowledge with him back into through the city gates of Mulmaster and back to the Oxpit Tavern.
Indeed. We'll drop down to Rornak. Is there anything you would like to accomplish before heading to, I believe, did you stay at the House of Suffering, or did you stay at the Oxpit Tavern?
I would say that I probably stayed at the House of Suffering last time that we spoke. I don't think really anything additional that I wanted to add to that for Rornak. I know I already kind of redid the weapon to get the spear that I have now, and spent some time kind of meditating over the box and just kind of tending at the House of Suffering. So, yeah, I think Rornak would just kind of check himself out a little bit as he's leaving, maybe do like some very early morning duties as he wakes up, and then, yeah, probably make his way back towards the Ox Pit and, just kind of wait to meet up with the rest of the party.
Absolutely. And since you did, I didn't cover it in the intro. Give me just a little bit of the flavor of how Rornak's looking right now. Second day after dying, you've got give me like some flavor of the new spear. You spent some time, you got the mask rebuilt kind of back together on it. So just give me a little bit of flavor of what Rornak's looking like walking towards the Oxpit Tavern this morning.
Yeah, so obviously Rornak already just kind of has a build that stands out a little bit with his tall, lanky self as it fits on him. And the green skin on any parts that are exposed usually will draw an eye. The most, of course, the one that tends to stand out too in his appearance is his pure white mask that he had, or had been at one point. At this point now, it is marked with a sign of Ilmater, which was hands bound by like a red twine. In the last battle, though, that has been kind of shattered in half, and so like the two hands are almost separated, but the mask itself is almost stitched together by like another red twine with like a red like cloth fabric that hangs over where the cracks would be, almost kind of extending the mask out a little bit wider as the red cloth kind of drapes over what remains of his face, almost basically covering the beard at that point. He does also have above that, I believe we agreed it was like a black or like tanned kind of like leather, like wide brimmed leather hats.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That also goes over his visage with just kind of like a pulled back ponytail that would hang out behind that as well. As far as attire, it's mostly black at this point, but I believe we went with a bit of like a purple and violet trim to it. Does still wear his fist wraps as he has it right now, and also kind of has almost like, I believe the way I did it was almost kind of like kind of the style of putting on a robe where like almost just leaving like one arm bare essentially. So at this point, his right arm, his dominant one, is completely left open as he has it kind of like tied, almost like toga style, kind of leaving that open and sagging over to the other side, with just kind of some normal trousers and some taped up, some black taped up feet as well.
On the exposed right arm, Rornak, you have noticed in the days following your resurrection is that the scarring that adorns your body when you activates the more healing or damaging properties of your body have yet to recede. Since coming back, they seem to be a permanent fixture.
Are they like?
They're not like the bright red throbbing looking ones when you activate your like hands of healing or hands of hurt, but just now very visible and prominent. That kind of what at once looked like scarring now appears to be precise kind of incisions lining up and down your body. Precise cuts in it. It almost like a catalog of the very arteries that go up your body.
Interesting. Well, we did die, so it makes sense that we would kind of have some scarring to show of it. And knowing what I know, yes, that makes sense as well.
Indeed.
So, Rornak just sees it as a sign of his situation with Banquo, and also further proof that he is indeed twice martyred at this point.
Indeed. Rornak makes his way to the Oxpit Tavern after saying and helping with some of the early morning duties at the House of Suffering. Last, we go over to Freddy at the Tower of Arcane Might. Is there anything you would like to accomplish on your way?
Before I leave, I mean, after a couple of days of not being able to get anything out of the Codex, I think I'll just leave that be for now. And now's probably as good a time as any to give a quick update to Nevlon Dijon Mustard.
Yes, Nevlon Dijon Mustard with the fantastic curly mustache. It's early in the morning, so yes, you head over to Nevlon Dijon's office/quarters. And he, of course, is sprawled over another large tome, as you typically do find him. The door opens with that quick use of Mage Hand, and Freddy! Good morning.
Morning.
What can I do for you? Hopefully not bring back another one of your friends. Although I suppose we have the senior cloak to thank for that.
Yeah, no, nobody died in the past day. So I just thought it would be a good time to talk about what's happened so far. I mean, since last time.
Indeed. Why don't you give me a recollection of events that's led to the strange circumstances of you returning to the Tower of Arcane Might with not one but two bodies?
Okay. So we were working for this guy down on the block, down on the docks. He was he had a ship, and he was just kind of asked us to, watch the ship during the day. Nothing really weird happened, and then on the last day there was an attack by a giant squid thing. So that's something to think about.
The Bay of Mulemaster? Aquatic life hardly bothers us at all, much less giant aquatic life.
Yeah, I think this had intentions not normal for aquatic life. I think it was following the orders of something with a little more malicious intent. Probably directed towards the guy I was working for, which would explain why he wanted us in the first place.
And a giant
Um,
squid is the cause of your friend's ill-fated demise.
No, I mean not directly. Um, so in trying to, you know, have people not die in that one, I ended up using a lot of my energy just for that purpose. Which is kind of an indirect result of what happened later. We turns out this guy had something that he was looking for, and he was working on the ship for it, and so then he said that he wanted to go down to the Underdark to get what he was looking for, and so we helped him out, brought him down there, and while we were trying to get what he was looking for, he got caught up in a situation and wasn't really smart about how he handled himself, and kind of got himself in a deeper and deeper hole, and we just kept trying to dig him out, but our shovels were too small, if you know what I'm saying.
Strange colloquialism, but I believe I am digging your garden, planting your soil. What is that commoners say?
Not that.
Oh, well, more to them. But yes, I do comprehend your meaning.
So yeah, what ended up happening is we fought some like stone monk people and this like spellcaster that was doing some wacky stuff with the gravity in the little cavern that we ended up in down on the dock, and a Zorn, which was the main cause of our other friend's troubles. Was just trying to, eat up everybody, as Zorns are to do. I don't know if it's the calcium in the bones or what, but do like eating.
Yes, monstrosities do have atrocious appetites. Were these stone monks at all related to your foray into the flooded forest? I believe with the member of the Turning Key? Your...
I told you about them, yeah.
Indeed.
Definitely similar. Obviously I can't speak to whether or not they are definitely related, but I don't see many other causes of why they would be around, so there's probably some connection there. I think it's going to the fact that all these different elemental bolts are trying to work their stuff right now, and I think that these monks that we keep encountering are going to be a recurring part of that.
Yes, you've had 3 cults you've encountered so far. I believe they are and he kind of goes into one of the tomes. Cult of the Crushing Wave, of the Eternal Flame, and, of course, this would be the Cult of the Black Earth.
Yep. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time before we find somebody that's shouting Yansi Bin in my face.
Yansi Bin. The Archamental. Yes, of course.
That took you a little longer than I would expect.
Unfortunately, my focus has been divided of recent. With the art galleys and the blades of Molemaster spending Bane knows how much gold and platinum on setting the city for the festival. We've had our hands full with the blades' demands. Use the cloaks to shore up this gallery. Can you use them to set up the lights here? We've been reduced for the time being to party planners.
Well, you know what they say, don't plant more seeds than you can water.
Is that what they say? Is that another one of them
That's
colloquialisms?
definitely part of what they say.
Well, perhaps we need far more water. Or, if your swords are to be the case, perhaps some less.
I hope you're not asking me to be some of your water, because I've got plenty on my plate as it is. And besides, I'm already involved with the art gallery. I'm gonna be keeping watch over Thundrazi.
Ah, yes, the Red Woman. Tell me, what exactly is the nature of your relationship with the Red Woman Thundrazi? Sorry, I believe the technical term is Thavian.
Yeah, I'm out on missions for you guys, and she's, in her red tower, and every once in a while, as is not the written duty, but I feel like something that is partially expected of me. I check in every once in a while to make sure she doesn't need anything or isn't doing anything we don't want her to be doing.
Ah, yes, those check-ins. Are they purely business or something more intimate, young cloak?
We've definitely developed a friendship, but like I said, it's a lot of business, and that's a 20 deception. I just rolled it.
That's 20
Because-
deception. Okay, because you knew I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Nevlon Deswan gives you a solid nod. Well, continue your efforts. We've had some recent tensions with some of her fellow Thavians. It would be good on you to keep her close and keep us informed if you notice anything amiss, or perhaps a more aggressive stance for their position here in Mulmaster. While I am thankful for the knowledge that the Thaven Embassy provides, gratefulness and trust are not the same thing.
I'll try and work your current troubles with the Davians into our next meeting. See what I can eke out from their side.
That would be most useful. Thank you, Cloaklap, Freddy.
You know what they say, the more sunlight the plant gets, the faster it grows.
The sheer number of plant-related colloquialisms you've made in this conversation is beginning to bargain the question of whether or not these are actual colloquialisms or just more things you are saying to me. I'm not entirely sure which.
It reminds me of something else they say. Mole Master's thumb is greener than the street's grime is black.
I'm gonna have him roll it so to see if he can put that one. He does not. It just look at. All right. Well, on that
I wish
note.
I could say I wrote these down, but these are just off the dome.
Yeah, with that, with his modifier, that less than 5 insight. So, this final foray into the Underdark with this ill-fated dwarf, or rather, ill-advised dwarf. What was the conclusion?
I mean, my friend died, and the guy that we were trying to help died. We got his body out, luckily.
But the cult
wasn't
was
really-
exterminated.
I mean, what was down there? Yeah. It
And
didn't stick around too long, but it seemed like stuff was starting to fall apart in that cave. So I don't know, maybe it collapsed. I'm not sure.
well, unfortunate at the temporary departure of your friend. I am pleased to hear that you have remedied this situation. Did you find
Oh, and
anything
there
of...
was-
Oh,
There
continue
was
on.
a dude down there that went to help us in the cave. What race was
He was a dark elf. Merciless.
Yeah, his name was Mercivus. It was a dark elf. I'd never seen him before, and he just, was just kind of there. So I guess he hangs out in the Underdark, which I know isn't really Mole Master, so not really our business, but definitely something to be aware of, I guess.
There are very few dark elves in Mulmaster. They tend to stay to their outposts in their spidered queen's embrace. But I'm not concerned with the presence of a single drow. What threat could they possibly pose to Mulmaster? But your notification of his presence is well noted. Mercivish, you say? Makes a small note. Well, another mostly successful foray for you, Freddy.
Some would say least successful.
But successful nonetheless. Well, is there anything else you have left to report to me?
That's it. I mean, you know, the sunflower points towards the sun, and it's starting to point west, so better get going.
Yes, indeed. A final question. How goes your studies into third level magic? Spells of such? I know that your predilection is towards music. Believe a hypnotic pattern may be well within your range. Have you achieved such a feat yet?
Not yet. I'm spending a lot of time organizing things in the library and kind of studying and you know, getting my my wizard rituals kind of worked in. But as far as the bard work goes, I haven't had too much time to spread my attention into there. I'm still, you know, playing in my room when I can, but I feel like that it's not too far off, you know.
Well, when you achieve such a feat, I will be delighted to see the fruits of your labor, or your newest performance. Well, at that cloak lap, I believe your son is pointing you on your next adventure.
Meet later.
And you make an exit, the door shutting behind you, to the sounds of furious scribbling of Nevlon Jishwan. Okay. With that, the party, you all begin to reconvene at the Oxpit Tavern. It is mid-morning by the time, Jove, you make it back from the Outlands. Jasper, you doff your armor and get your things put together to make another foray out into the city. Rornak finishing your chores, and Freddy giving your update to your fellow cloak. Your handler, if you will. You all return back to the...
That Mulmaster is a very plant-lively city.
Yes, with your many plant-based analogies and words of wisdom to a very concrete and cobblestone. Well, not concrete. Cobblestone and iron-like city. Where even the very trees are hidden behind bars of metal. But...
Colloquialism.
Oh
Yes.
my god, Kyle.
That's what I kept hearing every time he said colloquialism.
Seriously.
I kept hearing colloquialism. I was like, is that a close thing?
it is now. We return back to the Oxpit Tavern. Everybody roll me a d8 real fast.
2.
9.
7.
1.
Oh, close. I got an 8.
Okay. Freddy, you arrive there first, and then in descending order, our cast of characters arrive.
Fancy meeting you people here.
This is where we always meet.
Starting this shit already, huh?
A little early for all the sass, don't you think? But I guess we got to get it out now because we're going to be talking pretty to, Blade folk here in a bit, right?
Yeah, I think so.
trying to get information out of them regarding something, and I keep forgetting. One of these days, I'm write it down.
One of them has made friends with a monk named oh my god, it's in my notes somewhere.
Looking through it too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, two of you guys should know this one down pat.
Ovan. A monk named Ovan who has been
There you go.
dealing drugs and teaching techniques that you ain't supposed to be teaching. So really just seeing what their association with him is and if they wouldn't mind making an introduction to this individual. Because, we'd so much like to meet him.
Yes. Yes, specifically, he's doing a bastardized version of what's known as the Breath of the Yellow Rose. It's a breathing technique, but his is essentially eating through people's stomachs. Clearly, he does not know what he's doing, or there's something very foul about it. Either way, I can't let this stand.
And what's his name one more time?
Ovan.
Ovan.
Ornak, is there any... This Ovan fella, I mean... He couldn't have got this information out of a book, right? And is he part of your order, or related to your folks up there on the glacier in any way?
That is what I would like to know myself, Jove. I have not met this Ovan fellow or heard his name before. At least I don't think so, have I, DM?
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. That is a 10.
A 10. You know that the monastery has over 750 members, that there are multiple orders of monks within the monastery. So, thinking on it, no, you have not personally met Ovan. But there are plenty of monks at the Monastery of the Yellow Rose that you have not met.
Yeah. I can't say for certain that I've met him, honestly. The name doesn't ring a bell. There are plenty of others at the monastery, and I definitely do not know all of them on a name-by-name basis. That said, though, he wouldn't have just learned all of that off on his own, so he's either from the monastery or he took some knowledge from someone there. Either way, I have to find out what exactly is going on with that.
But yeah, as far as the Karamitris are concerned, we're just we heard from a friend that he is the person to go to for certain things that we're interested in. You know, drugs. But like, be cool, you know.
Hey,
Yeah.
we are here to buy some drugs from a friend that we've heard about named Ovan. Wink, wink. How's that?
Why don't you workshop that a bit? Like, on our way over there.
Wait, I got an idea. I'm here to buy drugs from Ovan, and he plucks one string on his guitar, and a tiny little firework goes up.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check.
Oh no. Not 20 for 27.
Oh, god damn it.
The little firework goes into the air. It explodes with like the word Ovan in it, and like this bright light, and like the whole tavern turns over, and you hear Krubek from the back. What the hell? Freddy! No explosions in the tavern!
It wasn't the real one, it was magic.
It's already a cloak. Fucking early for explosions and for a bar. See, Krubek. Well, he is definitely working the bar and everything. You can see that there's some pretty heavy bags under his eyes. Strangely enough, he's really only stayed behind the bar, just moving, doing a lot of the manual work that needs done instead of the general managing that you're used to seeing Crew Meg. You know, Crew Meg's a real hands-on type of guy, but he seems to be keeping his distance behind the bar.
So that's our angle then, as we're going in under false pretenses and saying, "Hey, we're looking for some of this silk root." I mean, are we saying that this is for us, or are we looking more of a entrepreneurial outlook on it, like we're trying to buy to sell?
Party, can I
Because
have you guys roll an insight, just a group insight check real quick?
Would love to.
Sure.
1.
Nat 20.
20 to the nat 1.
6.
I got 12.
12. Jasper and Freddy currently focused on that little bit there. Jasper more trying to ignore her brother's little show. Freddy, you feeling pleased as shit, getting everybody's attention in the room. For you, it was just like not even all that great of a thing of magic, you know. It just really just plucked a string. It was nothing, and look at all this attention. However, Jove, you start thinking about the Karametrius, and remember that there's 3 of them. There's Julios, there's Corona, and there's Thylius. Rornek, you remember that Thylius is the one that has been seen with Ovan, and that is the son of the Karametrius, the current heir, Thylius Karametru, who would be the best person to seek out Ovan.
Well, if we are looking to stage either a drug deal or a business partnership, I think Thylius is the son of the Karametrius. And has been seen with Ovan or someone with that name. Might be a good place to start if we're trying to look to get in somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair. His parents might not even know what he's been up to. We should be careful with that one. We've been told that apparently he has some way to influence people's minds. So.
Yeah.
Well,
So then we go to the house and say, "Hey, can we talk to your boy?" Is that the end goal then? Because I think you're right. I think plenty of high and important parents don't have a full grasp of what their children are out there doing in Momaster.
It's a
And-
fun.
If we can at least get him in the room, and you guys just bring up, I don't know, either the name Ovan or Silk Root in passing, I might be able to tell what how he feels about it. I've learned a new trick recently.
Just like looking at people's faces and going with your gut instinct.
It's a little more than that, but more or less.
Well, I mean that's something, I guess. Well, who knows? We might get there, and the boy might not even be there to be called upon. So, I guess that's really the start of this, right? Is knocking and seeing if we can talk. But I'm just gonna do what I usually do around the higher rung of folks here in Momaster, and that is be quiet, say yes sir, yes ma'am, and well, I don't want to get kicked in the chest again, so I feel like I'll just keep my eyes peeled for any happenings. Make sure if anything's feeling like it's about to turn sour. I won't be paying attention to the boy as much as what else is going on. Not that I want to get in a drop-down fight in somebody's estate, but always stay vigilant, ain't that right?
I agree.
Yeah.
We, as you said before, especially if we do deal with someone here who can control minds, there's a lot we don't know about this, so staying prepared is for the best. Also, just to check, we're not looking to actually take Silk Root, right?
I mean,
No.
are we gonna?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Welcome to D&D, where we have the ethical question of whether or not we're gonna take the drugs we're trying to stop from being put out.
No.
No, it just gives you, advantage on dexterity saving throws and 5 temporary hit points every single round.
I can say I'm willing if we have to.
Nobody's fucking forcing your hand there, Freddy.
Oh, you're
Well-
right. If we get in the room and this dude's like, "Hey, come do drugs with me and we can talk more," we're gonna be like, no, straight edge, buddy."
Well,
I mean, if in the off chance he wants to fucking have a sesh with us, then yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm laying the groundwork for. Last I checked, everyone on the table was like, "No drugs for me, thanks." So
Well,
that's a bit of a difference.
Have you ever
First-
seen somebody on Silk Route? Because it's not so much of a kickback and chill with your friends type of drug. It's more of a, well, I've seen people use it to go out and battle and get themselves all hyped up. So keep that in mind. It's not a relaxing thing.
Oh, I didn't
I
say
ha-
we were gonna relax. I'm saying what if he just wants to do it with us and then he'll talk.
I've also seen overuse of it and it literally eating through your body, so that's why I recommend not getting started with it. However, if any of you are actually interested in learning the Breath of the Yellow Rose, if we started daily sessions, we might be able to start changing
I'm
your
not,
diet
though.
within 3 years' time. Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna drink my own piss, Ronak. I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna
What the hell do you think I do?
do
Isn't that your daily routine?
Alright.
You have your hard bread and your canteen full of piss water.
Jasper wants out the
Have you ever even seen me piss into this? Like, yes, also this bread is great.
I also don't wake up with you. Like a good 10 hours of the day, I don't see a face.
All master diets, I swear. Goodness. As he starts to reach in for his newest stale bread that he bought once we got back.
You bought it stale?
Oh, he likes it.
Cheaper, okay?
Go ahead and take 1 copper piece off. It's actually a half penny.
It was just sitting there in the dumpster. Like, what else are you gonna do with it?
Proper use of the Breath of the Yellow Rose does change the inner workings of your body. I find that something harder actually works better.
Well, lessons upon you, Ronak. But...
He's just not eating you from the inside out.
No. I mean, on the contrary, I hardly eat at all. Crunch.
Well,
As he takes a bite of like, it's weird because
joke there, but
this is Mole Master hard bread, so it really is more like a rock than the last one was. Less of that gummy texture. You can physically hear him just.
I mean, potentially you can put it in a sling and use it as a projectile, so that's
Hey, there
nice.
you go.
Actually counts as a monk weapon. Damn.
Loaf of bread, baguette.
It counts as a club. Mace.
A Mole Master baguette wielded by a monk.
It's an improvised weapon.
Counts
so,
as-
hey, man.
Counts as a belaying pin. Counts as a club.
We could literally get me too. Chain them together.
Oh no, you don't get baguette nunchucks. I'm sorry.
It'd be called bread chucks.
Bread chucks.
I can honestly only imagine just like 2 sticks of crazy bread together.
Honestly, you're right. Well, Freddy, do you have that invite that's going to get us through the doors?
What?
Right? Didn't we
Yeah,
get it?
I'm kidding. It was a joke.
Oh, you got me there.
Yeah,
Whew.
good
That wit of yours,
one.
Freddy.
I did the joke, and then I was like, but they don't have faith in me, so they're gonna assume that I actually don't remember what they're talking about. I have it here.
And he produces the letter of intent.
Well,
Well.
let's get going. I don't think we can do any more planning than we already have.
Then we go.
So you all gather your gear and begin heading towards. Let's pull up the map of the city, the map of the shitty map, if you will. So the Oxbit Tavern is over here. And so we're going to go the Karamitri Estates, which is over here by South Road Keep. And kind of one of the positions of power throughout the city, since the Karamitris are deeply entwined with the tax collection of the city. After walking through the streets of Mulmaster, already a bustle with forges going at full blast, you see that there are a number of different workers out the streets. Things are getting painted. There are supplies being run through the streets. You can see that the city every day is getting a little bit more frantic as there are sculptures of art being made in certain places. Big furniture and moving pieces are moved from one side of the street to the other. There's just an abundance of workers out and about. As you see the city continuing to gear up for the art festival. You eventually find yourselves at the front gates of the Karametrios estate. You can see that this area is well-dressed. The number of individuals here moving away from the scattered masses and typical black-sooted faces of Mulmaster citizenry to more well-dressed. Instead of simple city watch members stationed around this are now, the soldiery of Mulmaster with their golden M kind of emblazoned on their chest. You can see that the homes go from like tiny little like stoops in apartments, like a massive colony of ants, to more well-dressed, functional homes, some even having 2 stories. You even notice that there's one house that appears to be a full 3-story house. A bit of a rarity for the non-bladed individuals of Mulmaster and those with extravagant wealth. Set back from the road by a high fence, you see one house that is leaps and bounds larger than the others. A incredibly well manicured, but very blocky style. Think almost like more modern buildings where they have just like that big square stacks on top of each other, with some big, large windows at strange cuts and angles, just very much clashing with the rest of the kind of conformity of this part of Mulmaster. The entirety of the house is set in dark reds and greens, less vibrant like Christmas and more like the old school movie Black Christmas, almost like a foreboding burgundy and green, like emerald green. Even in this early morning, you can see that it appears the walls over Mulmaster cast a shadow on this house from almost every direction. Standing, you see, by the high fence, what appears to be a number of soldiery guards sat keeping watch. Jasper, you recognize this as rather standard procedures for a Blades Estates. You can even see, with your kind of background of getting in and out of your own estates, you can see the setups where soldiery would be, where extra patrols would be set up, the guard houses, the very uniformed and hierarchical structure of soldiery guarding a Blade Estates. It's about 10 in the morning as you finally make it in front of the Karamitri estate. How would you all like to proceed?
We go in.
Freddy, you lead the way, and you are stopped at the front gates by members of the soldiery. Halt! You're about to trespass onto the Karamitru estates. State your business.
I have this letter of introduction here to speak to the Karamitrus. It is from Zora Boken and someone else, right?
Yes, Lady
Mistress
Astrid
Vaj.
Vaj.
Vaj, yeah. From Mistress Vaj and Lady Koken.
The soldiery member hands out an arm and takes the or hand and takes the letter from you, and looks over it, sees the official seal, says, "Hold for a moment," and makes his way into the estate. 5 or so minutes go by before you see the same soldiery member exit out of the house and, "Welcome to the Karamitru estate. Your audience with Blade Zora Corona Karamitru will happen henceforth." He begins to lead you down the kind of manicured, blocky roadway that leads straight up to the Karamitru estates. Large doors open up, and the wealth here is just as palpable as it was in the Goss estate. However, it is less vibrant here. The inside of the manor is incredibly fine, but more austere. The money hasn't been spent here on decorations or fine sets of armors or big showy displays of wealth, but every single bit of furniture, the rugs, the banners, they're all of that like high quality, just a bit rigid by comparison to the Goss estates. You continue into the estate, being led by this member of the soldiery, before entering into a receiving room, where you see an older woman in kind of a high-necked black gown await you all. She sits at one of two slightly raised, high-backed chairs, a large desk kind of in front of it, giving her the ability to kind of look down at you all from about 3 or 4 feet above. She looks at you all. You can see that her gray hair is done up in a bun, and unlike many of the other Zoras you have seen, even Zora Kolkin, she does not appear to have any jewelry on her. In fact, her outfit, while incredibly well made, is just rather plain. She kind of considers you all with this stern look, accentuating kind of the deep frown lines in her face. Her kind of cold eyes looking over each one of you as if taking almost a count of your whole visage before speaking up. "I do not recall an appointment today. Why have you arrived at my door? What does Zora Kolkin and Mistress Vaj require?"
It's not so much about what they require as much as us just seeking an audience with Your Highness, Your Grace. Your Grace is probably a good one.
Zora. You would know as a mole master that it is Zora.
With the Zora Karamitru.
Well, congratulations. You have received your audience with me, Corona Karamitru. What is it that you inquire about? I do not have any pleasant calls waiting for me today. So you must want something.
Just wanted to talk to you and your family. We've, me and my friends here have been, in the searches for information about some silk route that we've heard about.
She gives kind of a puzzled expression. I don't know what silk route is, and I don't know what my family has anything to do with it.
Well, we're hoping your family doesn't have anything to do with it, but we're kind of just covering our bases. I mean, you know how adventurers work. We go from lead to lead, and at some point on our list, we're gonna end up running into somebody like you.
So, ask your inquiry then. I was assured that you must be friends with Thylius, and that he must have gotten to another one of his altercations. But, seeing that it is not that, what would you like to know?
Well, I would not presume to know or say anything about the Azora's family and her estate. But could we talk to this young Thylius?
You could if Thylius still resided within the house. However, since his travels and his incorrigible attitude towards others, he no longer resides here.
Do you know where we could find him?
Yes, I suppose I could point you in the way of Thylius. Why, what is it that you want with my son?
Just another thing on the checklist. I wouldn't mind asking the Zora what he knows about Silk Road either, but I don't want to intrude if he's busy.
You would be intruding on my husband. You should consider it a luxury that I've had your audience for, whatever this conversation amounts to. But if you're trying to find my son, and she stretches over, you can hear like the creaking in her bones, and with these kind of long, not quite clawed hands, but you can see the nails have been fine to a very sharp point, grabs kind of a parchment and begins to write on it. Here. And with kind of a flick of her wrist, the paper kind of slides off and lands on the ground in front of you, Freddy. This is where my son spends his days now with his little entourage.
Well, I shall take this as a gift, and unless my friends have anything to ask, and I turn to them.
Joe just kind of bows his head in respect and shakes it.
We shall. Oh, go ahead.
No, Jasper just does the same thing.
We shall bid you adieu, and I hope that you and yours can make up whatever time has been lost by me and mine.
Yes. Good day. And she looks at your invitation. Odd jobs. Good day.
Pleasure is ours.
And she
I bow and wait for her to leave.
She instead waves a hand, and the members of the soldiery come up and begin to usher you guys out. She immediately begins to move more paper to the side and begins scrolling things down with those kind of long, pointed, nailed fingers. Before you head back out, you notice that, Jasper, you notice that this estate is much quieter than your own. Yours, there's always the sound of somebody moving around, your younger brother, the young Zor running through the house, your father holding business, or your stepfather holding business meetings, your mother directing servants. There is an energy at your house, but here it is very cold. It feels
Do I
like...
know anything about, like, their wealth / like, their investments?
Go ahead and roll me a history check.
Let's see if she woke up this morning. History is a 16.
A 16, you know the Karamitras are, that their focus is on tax collection. It is, especially in the city of Mulmaster, it is a necessity, and it is very cold work. It takes a hard personality to successfully rein in all the taxes from the many citizens of Mulmaster. And it does not make you beloved by anyone who does not benefit from that, namely the High Blade herself. and the Church of Bane, who, of course, are not taxed.
Yeah, so it's all making sense now.
Yes, they are. They are the blades in charge of collecting taxes to the city of Mulmaster. It does not make you very popular, especially with the increases of taxes by the High Lord in the recent months to pay for the strange occurrences and, of course, tests of faith that Lord Bane has thrown at the city recently.
Okay. Noted.
You exit out of the estates promptly by members of the soldiery. Freddy, looking down, you see that an address is scrawled. Go ahead and roll me history with advantage, since it deals with the city of Mulmaster.
Ooh, bad first roll, good second roll. 20.
20. You are aware of this area. It is far to the north of the city, not terribly far away from kind of the northern wall that protects the city from the outside. It'll take a little bit of time to get there. You have to walk pretty much all the way you came from to the opposite side of the city. It's a rather deserted area out there. But you do know exactly how to find the streets of Mulmaster with that 22 of history.
Nice, nice smooth talking in there, Freddy. Well done.
I mean, I didn't shit my pants, so we can only tell how much more successful it would have been should I have done that. Should have had a bit of breakfast.
Maybe next time.
We'll give it to him next time.
Probably the most generous gift they'd ever receive.
So yeah, I guess we go there. And I feel like it's gonna be easier to talk to him on his turf than at that place, so I guess that's actually a win for us.
Sounds
We
like he's
don't-
prone to altercations, though. So
I mean,
definitely
is
have
that a
to be
surprise?
vigilant.
This dude's wrapped up in fucking street drugs.
And he lives with his entourage. I'm sure they're perfectly lovely people.
I mean,
Not to mention, if the Sylvan is actually from the monastery, he would certainly know how to handle a fight himself.
Do we want to modify our approach here? Maybe be a bit more, I don't know. Sleuthy is the word I'm looking for.
Rather than
Oh,
just
oh.
coming up and knocking and saying, "Hey, we're here to ask you some questions about Silk Route."
Yeah, that feels a bit naive even for us. Perhaps let's get eyes on this building first, see what we can't surmise.
I mean, that could be a good idea. Otherwise, I don't know, Jasper, is there anyone with the Zenitrim that could potentially, like, arrange a meeting of that sort with him? It might be dangerous for us to go there, but if we could plan something and know where he'll be, I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
to be frank, the Zenitrim asked me to learn all this for them, so I don't think they even know this place is the place, let alone have any sort of connections with the people involved. It's surprisingly not a business they want their hands in.
Well, that is surprising. I just was curious if they might have had somebody that was involved in some way.
As far as I know, I am that person.
Well,
Yes, Jasper, you would know that the Zenitrim have been losing business and perfectly capable individuals of the family to the Silk Route. can't make
Yeah,
money if their stomachs are being eaten through by Silk Root.
Yeah, we've actually lost people to this Silk Route. It's hurting our business more than helping. So it's by no means are we on friendly terms with these people.
Well, then, do we go with the angle that we're trying to break into the business? I don't think it would be unusual for in a place like Mulmaster for a cloak wanting to make a little extra money on the side, doing some peddling. I think we could put up a pretty convincing smoke screen and at least get him talking and don't actually
You
have
know,
to.
Job, that's not half a bad idea. I like that. We look the part, I would say.
Speaking of looks, Rornak, I mean, are you going to be able to identify a fellow monk on site? I know you say you don't know who this looks like, but I don't know if you guys. I mean, do y'all dress like how you dress? Are they going to know it's you walking through the door, or I'm sure the kid doesn't know shit, but this Ovon fella.
If you're asking if everybody back at the monastery dresses like this, no, I've definitely taken some liberties, to say the least. Honestly, attire there is, well, from the day to day is rather simple. Not much need for a whole lot of extra things or possessions, you know. So, I wouldn't necessarily recognize him just by pure clothes. However, if he is truly from the monastery, I reckon he might have something related to Ilmater, or any symbols of that. And actually, can I check and see, is there any small identifiers that he might have on him that I would know of, like any like sort of like jewelry or like bracelets, just like something small like that, Dom?
You would know that the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, that the typical garb is a blueberry colored robes. That the exact shade is typically from the kind of blueberries that grow up there that you guys make your wine out of, which is very specific to that region. So if you saw something with that color, that would be probably a dead giveaway because it's not very easy to get that color except up by the monastery. You would also know that specifically that kind of the symbol that the monastery has is of the hands of Ilmater on one side of kind of a medallion, and on the opposite side, a yellow rose with the two lights of Saint Solars on its side.
Well, I would say, just so you all are aware, as far as ways to know if he's from the monastery, assuming he hasn't gotten rid of his clothes. He will be in blue garbs, very specific color. I would know it as soon as I see it. Also, our symbol would be much like my own mask here as he points to it, with the hands of Ilmater here. Except one hand would have a medallion, and the other would have a yellow rose. If you see that sign, dead giveaway. We know he's from the monastery.
Do you think he would be hostile seeing your affiliations, or?
Hostile? I'm not so sure. But, well, I can't speak for him, but if I were Ovan, and I was going about spreading the breath of the Yellow Rose as I am, if I knew somebody else from the monastery was here and interested in coming in, I would want to probe into that a bit more. My guess, if he recognizes me, he might go a little bit on the defensive. Yes. Which means maybe I should put the mask off for this meeting.
Yeah, I didn't want to suggest that. I didn't want to insult you or anything, but that might be a good call.
No. For the sake of this, I think that is for the best. And even right now, while he's thinking about it, Rornak will go ahead and take off his hat and undon the mask and place that in his bag.
Gotcha.
Well then, so is that our plan? Is to have Freddie liaison some sort of business deal, and we're the muscle, and just kind of do our typical get in there and hatch a plan once we're in the thick of it.
Into the thick of it. I mean, it seems to be where we do our best thinking.
Seems to be, yeah.
Because we didn't come up with an escape plan for the fighting pits, but I think we got out of there pretty alright.
Agreed.
Tom, how far are we from the Zent Ghetto?
Not very far at all.
Gotcha.
It's this strange kind of setup with the city where you've got like the South Road Keep and like the Karamitri Estates and like a place for soldiery and city watch and like this hard, rigid, like tax collecting, well-to-do part of the city. And then you go to the other side of the street and there's the Zent ghettos. Kind of like you see that border between two parts of Mexico, where you've got like on one side where all the financial districts are and like the big houses and mansions, and on the other side you have like complete and total slums. It's a lot like that, only separated by the South Road that leads through Momaster, where a lot of incoming goods and travels and such. This like wave of people and goods and services and items physically separating the Zent ghetto and then the kind of the governance of the city on the other side.
Well, if we need to make a quick escape, I have friends in the ghetto, as you know, so that's probably the direction to run if we need to.
That's good, and maybe if we can not have to pop off right now, and maybe if we're able to, keep the lie together and set up some sort of drop of cash for drugs. If they're very smart about this, they might not have all of their supplies in their little hideout right here that Mommy knows the address to. So that might be a nighttime drop. Might be a little bit easier to catch them in the act or what have you. But I suppose we should just see what's offered once we get in, and we can kind of. Fred, I trust you to take the bull by the horns and lead us in the right direction.
Yeah, being a shady cloak should be no problem for him.
Okay. Are we going up now then?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go up, I'm going to, as a ritual, cast Detect Magic, and also use my Staff of Charming to cast Comprehend Languages on myself. So I have both of those going.
Absolutely. You watch as Freddie takes the time and give us some flavor on this, since you're doing both.
Yeah, so Detect Magic, you've seen it, and it's just getting more routine for him. He plays, at this point, a very familiar tune of just kind of like surrounding himself with just repetitious chords just going over and over again. It's like a 3-chord melody that he just plays continuously for the 10 minutes. It's a little irritating, but it's necessary. And then the Staff of Charming doesn't operate off of his music at all, so he's able to just kind of whip it out and kind of twirl it around, and just like a curtain of green glitter falls over him, and no noticeable change happens, but he ensures you that he can understand other languages.
As you head across the city, it takes a little while, dodging in and out through the streets as people carry like lumber and paints and big pieces of metal. You see horse-drawn carriages having all sort of manner of like felts and One that seems to be almost a cart made entirely out of metal, all locked up and sealed, being moved by a number of soldiery from one side of the city to the other. Sneaking by, Bay Knights patrolling the streets, their black armor glinting in kind of the midday sun, making it almost difficult to look at them to see black armor shine so brightly. But you do make it to the other side of the city. It gets less and less crowded. It becomes less street markets and corners and more empty lots, more dilapidated buildings, little bits of what actually appears to be some plant life. Weeds that have never been cut down or stomped upon continue to grow out through the cracks of the cobblestone. Some being almost as tall as Jove in areas, almost as if this wild root has retaken some of Mulmaster. As you head farther and farther north, farther away from the Tower of Arcane Might and the bustle of the city, until you see what appears to be a large kind of lot, a number of trees, mismatched in height and size and density and breadth, as if someone has just allowed whatever seeds that fell to just take over this area. You can see that there's a stout stone wall that rises higher than even Rornak. A gate with an iron scrollwork over finished timbers offers potential passage to the front of this estate, and you can see ever so slightly over the cover of trees and through the gates of this what appears to be a 2-story rectangular house done in the old wooden style of Mulmaster housing, almost looking reminiscent of kind of the colonial style houses back east, just ever so slightly out in the distance. It seems to cover a rather large area. You're thinking probably about 100 or so plus feet back, and about another 50 or so feet across. And then just this huge kind of swath of area, all fenced in by this stone stout wall. Freddy, after making your way here that you have arrived at your destination.
One thought I just had: if this turns nasty, and we end up in an altercation with this Thylius, and we take him out, there's a pretty direct line for his mother to point directly at us. She knows Freddy's name, and she knows our group name, and she's seen all of us.
Well, then I guess it's a good thing he's not our target.
That's true. Just, if we take out the business he's a part of and we don't kill him, he's gonna have it out for us as well. But even still, I guess that would be preferable to having his mother and father after us. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Good to think about.
Good point.
Oh, another totally random thought. Joe, are you partial to that ring of water walking, or would you mind if I had that back?
Oh, no, I'm feeling more comfortable about my swimming skills nowadays. If we just forget about the last couple, but he'll he'll slink it off and hand it over. Appreciate you letting me borrow that. I'm sure there'll
No
be another
problem.
time that I might ask you for it again. So,
Well, it's open if you need it. By your lead, Freddy.
And just to be straight, you don't want me just saying I'm here for the drugs?
Well, just I think the idea is you be a shady cloak and be insistent on joining the business. Since you have weight to throw around, and they probably don't want to get in trouble with the cloaks. So,
More of a business opportunity type of conversation.
right.
All right. Rap.
Um, you rap on the kind of iron gate. It rings out kind of across, and there's a bit of silence. The sounds of birds off out in the distance. A few minutes later, you see what appears to be a human male, dressed in well-fitting armor. Specifically, looks to be like a chain shirt, shield, sword at the hip. Perhaps even a little too well dressed for just a regular guard around these parts. But he does approach on the other side of the gate. It's still shut to you at the time, and as he approaches, speaks up. Yeah, what can I do for you?
Is there a business here?
I'm sorry?
A business? Like, that does business and, sells goods and/or services?
Nah, this is a place of teaching, of learning.
Oh. Well, okay. I'm just going around town, just seeing what's where and all of that, making myself familiar with anything that I didn't already know about. If you don't mind me asking, what are you teaching?
I do mind. Thanks for asking. And you see him turns to leave.
I'm gonna knock on the door again.
Yeah. What do you need?
Well, I mean, if you're a school, are you looking for students? I mean, I can see. I'm with the cloaks, and I'm looking to get some business opportunities going. Doesn't necessarily need to be on the cloaks watch or anything, but I've got some people that are interested in buying things, selling things, and I'm sure I can find some people that are interested in learning some things.
Go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
22.
Well, a cloak. Really? Well, we do teach enlightenment to those who are seeking to follow the path of the Yellow Rose. A cloak would be a new addition. I'm surprised. Usually, cloaks don't focus on the breath and the body. They're more taken up with books,
We're usually more of the brainy type, but I'm not as much of a nerd as some of my classmates. I generally find myself out on the road, and I'm only in the classroom and library when the school says that I'm gonna fail if I don't.
Well, you certainly would make an interesting addition to the teachings here, but you're certainly not alone. As he looks past and sees the rest of the party.
Yeah, like I said, I've got some people that might do some learning, so maybe I'm not even the target audience for this, but me and my friends here are kind of just touring around looking at stuff, and maybe looking into, supporting your school or maybe enrolling. What's the breath of the Yellow Rose? You could just give me a quick rundown. That
It's
it's a breath and body.
a philosophy and a way of life. I'm not a teacher of it and would not be the one to explain what it is. I simply guard the premises. But if you are interested, I would be happy to talk to the master of the house.
What's the master's name?
Oh, Master Thylius, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would love to speak with the headmaster. See what's going on with this Yellow Rose.
Yes, sir. You may enter, but I would have to ask your companions to stay out.
Fair's fair.
Oh.
Even if we're interested in learning things as well.
Ah, yes, unfortunately, the rest of you, as he looks at your mismatched, kind of hodgepodge of individuals, are not cloaks of Molemaster. I don't believe you would make a fitting acquisition for the school, but that's for my master to decide. He is a cloak. You are just friends of a cloak.
Well,
We
didn't
talked
she?
to this headmaster, what was it, Thylius, and see if I can interest him in the talking. Cause this guy's just on guard, dude. You gotta respect his only letting the one person he knows Thylius would be interested in. So I think it's for Thylius to make the decision to let you other guys in.
I mean, it's hard to make that decision when we're out here. You
Does
don't
he have a
wanna make-
window?
I'm sorry, was that directed towards me?
Well, I don't think my friends here know if he has a window.
Does Master Thylius have a window? Yes, there are many windows.
Okay, so he can see it from wherever we talk, and make a decision from there, and maybe I can get him to talk to all of us.
Yes, let us see if the Master deems you worthy, nonetheless your friends. Of course, if that is unacceptable, well, it is a privilege to be here, and strangers from the streets not entering will not be noticed.
I guess we'll wait here then.
I suppose we will. Please, do make a case for us. Not only as your friends, but as the acting guard of such a high-ranking cloak as yourself. I can't imagine it goes well for you to go unprotected, as he gives you a very quick knowing look, Fred.
Well,
I will go in.
he opens the gate, shuts it behind you, Freddy, barring it with a large piece of wood on top of the gates, and begins to walk into the estate. You follow down the path.
Do I notice anything with my detect magic?
At this current onset, as you're walking in, no, nothing pings. The guard doesn't seem to have anything magical on him. You enter up. You kind of go follow this path. Actually, why don't I put a map up?
Yeah.
Map.
I'm the map. Here we are.
I'm the map. Dora
So-
in boots.
So, party,
Want to infiltrate a drug deal.
you are situated right outside these gates at the bottom part of the map. You enter in, Freddy, into the kind of the front door, opening up into a modest-sized foyer. You can see inside that the house has clearly been updated recently. It seems as if the whole house has been scrubbed down, as if recent work has been put in. All the furniture appears to be rather new. Inside, there are a stunning amount of windows in here. Every single room, the amount of natural light that comes in, which is rather unique for Molemaster, to have so many windows. On the front doors, you can see there's a second story with windows looking out towards the property. You enter in And the guard kind of takes you to the right and to what would be room number 3, and you can see that there is a well-stocked library in here. Numerous bookshelves completely filled with books and scrolls. You can see on some of the seats and tables what appear to be further texts and scrolls placed there in the middle of someone's kind of study. Number of comfortable chairs. Think like very old school, like manor style library. And then past it, you enter into a large, for the most part, empty room. You can see that there are a number of armor and weapon racks to the side. This room being almost entirely windows all the way on all sides facing out towards the property. Seeing kind of more of this property, you noticed a large number of flowers to the back. Beautiful displays of color, predominantly yellow and blues in the back of this, out towards kind of a garden cottage out towards the back of the property. Looking around, you see what appears to be 3 rather young humans, either in their late teens, maybe early 20s. Currently, all 3 of them are sitting in a meditative pose, like crisscross applesauce. They all appear perfectly still, and standing in front of them, walking by each one, giving them a kind of an eye up and down. You see a man in blue robes, finely made, freshly dyed, every single strand perfectly in place, a bolt of gold around the center. It hangs down. He's got these like shoulder length curly brown hair that kind of bounces like on with own like a small wind is blowing in this closed off room right now, just moving it ever so slightly. You see him bend down close to one of the males of the room, and he, as he leans close, where is it? There it is. Elred, you're still breathing. You need to lighten your breath. Hold it deep within you. Let it sustain you from the inside. As he moves a finger underneath the nose and he brings it back. A deeper breath in. He puts a hand kind of on the chest and one on the back and straightens up his posture. Now breathe. And you see this male inhale as much as he possibly can and holds it there without moving. You see the other 2 students, their faces begin to turn a slight red as they've continued to hold their breath this whole time until it becomes a bright red. You can see they're starting to sweat and shake from it before the individual says, "Now you may release the breath inside you." And they and then begin to hold it there, holding each breath in and out for an extended amount of time. This goes on for a moment, the guard keeping a hand placed in front of you until the individual finally turns around. "Ah, visitors, a potential new student." And he looks over to the guard. "Would you keep an eye on them?" "You," give me Freddy the up and down. "I can tell by your posture. You must be a cloak." "Hi, I'm Dilius Karamitru. Pleasure to meet you." As he gently, almost seems to glide across the floor, making no noise as each footstep. You can see he doesn't wear any shoes or seeming any adornments besides that kind of gold belt and a gold ring on a hand. He walks forward and extends a hand out to you.
Not quite so sure that I like that my posture is identifiable as a cloak. I kind of try and distinguish myself from that as much as possible. Is this somewhat private we can talk?
Absolutely. But you haven't even told me your name.
That's the point.
Oh, well. If you want a conversation, you have to at least start with the name.
You get a name when we're in private.
I don't think I like your attitude, and the air begins to get very still. You've been invited into my house, into my teachings, and you don't even want to give a name? In front of
You
my
wanna give-
students? I don't care if you're a cloak or not. If you don't have any respect now, you certainly won't have any later. So let me ask again. Who am I talking to? And you feel this pressure on your mind, Freddy. Can I have you make a wisdom saving throw? You push back against this pressure. It feels tight, like there's a headband over you as he locks eyes, these incredibly gray eyes, as he awaits your response.
Name's Freddy.
The posture relaxes, like a cool breeze floats over. Hi, Freddy. Yeah, we can find somewhere private to talk. Follow me. And he walks out the training room. You can see the guard keeps an eye kind of trained on you. He leads you out into kind of the library area, up a set of stairs, and finally into a beautifully decorated room. Large canopy bed, big open windows that let the breeze kind of roll in. You can see another kind of bookshelf filled with more tomes, a fine desk inside, and plenty of kind of open air and draperies, all in that kind of dark blue and yellow swing through the room. Here, let me get you a seat, as he pulls some chairs in the room together, sitting exceptionally close to each other. He takes a seat and, why don't you join me?
I will sit.
So, Fred of the Cloaks.
Freddy.
Freddy. That's nice. Has a good song to it. What brings you to my school?
Me and some friends are, well, they're not cloaks, but I am, and we're looking just to, make some business deals, get what we can get where we can get it, and came across your school. It looked like an opportunity for either investment or even possibly enrollment for me or one of my companions.
Enrollment? Well, I would be most interested in your enrollments. And what of your friends? Tell me, are they gifted in the art like you? Do they
What-
have knowledge? Oh, you're a cloak. All cloaks do magic. The art, that's what you call it.
Well, they're not cloaks, so either they're breaking the law or they're not magic people.
Oh, well. It always is so much fun meeting a caster. But I have been looking for some new students. Have you ever heard of the Breath of the Yellow Rose?
Just about 10 minutes ago.
Well, let me tell you, it is transcendent. I took a journey to the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, up past the Glacier of the White Worm, after trying to find myself, and changed everything. It fills you, makes you lighter than air, gives you energy, gives you strength. You just can survive, grow strong. I've met masters who could exist off only the smell of food alone, who could hold their breath for an entire day. It was incredible. And so I brought those teachings to Mole Master.
Now, off the record of being a cloak, because as I've stated, and I'll say it again, I'm not really here on cloak business. I just happen to be a cloak with cloak freedoms, I'll say. How is this done? It's not through magic, right? I'm sure the cloaks would have been on your
Oh
your
no,
tushy if it was magical.
no magic needed at all. Only faith and practice. It does take a teacher.
And who taught you?
Well, I learned from many different teachers at the monastery. Specifically, a good friend of mine, a monk. He followed me on my travels, and, well, if you join the school, you might even have the chance to meet him. Though he's no longer my master.
You say that like you have a new master.
Oh, I no longer need a master. I'm charting my own path, letting the breath take me. There is not anything more that Ovan or the monks could teach me.
So Oban was your teacher back at the monastery?
Yes, a wonderful man.
Do you know what Oban means?
No. Did you?
No.
Oh,
Some cultures have special meaning in their names with a name like Ovan. Especially for a monastery, you'd think it would mean like tranquility or something.
well, the monastery takes all types. Suppose my name, Thylius, has a meaning to it. As does Freddy. But enough about me. Have I interested you in perhaps becoming a student of mine?
You've definitely interested me in learning more about it. Would you mind talking about the rose to my friends out there? They're kind of just waiting for me, and they've got their eyes on investment and possible enrollment themselves. I know you said that you would really like me as a cloak, but without talking to my friends about it, can't really promise much of anything.
Make me a persuasion check.
Persuasion. Okay, 19. Plus 7 coming in handy.
19 plus 7 for 26?
No, the plus 7 coming in handy to get
Oh, to get 19. Well, I don't like to just let anybody in, but it's not every day a clerk wants to become a student. Sure. Why don't we all come in? How about we do a lesson together? We could talk about the philosophy of the breath of the yellow rose, get to see how you live, and what wonderful things we could show you. Why don't you bring them all in? I'll have some of the help come and get you. In fact, we could make a lunch of it. How does that sound?
Sounds marvelous.
Beautiful. Well, why don't you go grab your friends? I'll send the guards to come let you all in, and I'll get the staff going. I can't wait for you to meet everyone. And he has this just smile just rips through the sides of his mouth. So he just stares deep into your eyes, almost without blinking.
All right, I'll go and let them know what's up and wait for your guards to let us in. Don't wanna overstep and just tramps on in.
appreciated. Respect is so much deserved and so appreciated. Sorry for thinking so harsh in the beginning, you know. But Azor is entitled to such respects. As he stands up, almost bobbing as he does, he opens the door to his room and kind of begins to glide down the steps. Hardly any noise as he goes down and returns back into the training room.
How long is it going to take for the guards to...
You're not entirely sure. But you do hear the sound of Thylius's voice kind of heard muffled through even with your passive. What are you trying to do?
I was going to see if I had 10 minutes. Does 10 minutes seem like way too long?
10 minutes would be way too long.
Okay. Then I'll just go out to the gate. And I'll go up to Lapis and an Infernal. I'll say, bad news, Ovan not here.
Shame.
Do we have any idea where he might be?
That was an Infernal.
Oh.
To the rest of the group, I'll just say, alright, so it looks like we can, we're gonna be able to get you guys in. We're just waiting on the guards to come and get us. I've gotten us a nice lunch with their leader. Boy's a tough name. Thylius. Apparently he's a Zord. You guys know that?
What a shock.
One thing, Freddy, you did notice with your meeting with Thylius is that he did have a ping with your detect magic on.
Okay.
It was from a ring on his hand that pinged with divination.
Okay.
An
He's got-
Infernal. Oh, go ahead.
He's got a magic ring on his finger. I don't know if that has to do with anything about the Yellow Rose. Nothing came up about any type of magic or anything, so I don't know how this Breath of the Yellow Rose is being done. Again, still trying to be vague that we don't have any purpose in case someone's listening. But I think it's interesting for us to look into. It's interesting that they're able to do whatever it is they're doing here without any kind of magic.
An Infernal shall ask how many people were in there, guards and otherwise.
I saw about 10.
Sheesh.
Yeah, about half of them were students though. So, don't know how equipped they would be to, or willing to fight back should anything happen.
Well, let's try to find out where the monk is before we do anything too rash.
It seems like he's most interested in me enrolling, but I'm sure it's something some other people in this group would find interesting and possibly enrolling in. Seems like most of the teachings he's gonna kind of keep secret. I mean, keep the secrets to the trade until the person you're talking to is in the trade.
Job's gonna slip into halfling, and say, Freddie, any word on the business part of this aspect, or are we just doing a little tour of the campus?
I'm guessing that there might be a brief tour, but the way that I've kind of been able to set it up is that we're kind of just like prospective investors and/or students, possibly for the school, and he really seemed intent on only meeting with us because I am a cloak, and a cloak would be a valuable asset to the school.
Well,
As
way
we
to
say
get us in the
common.
room.
Yeah, we'll see what we can make it amount to.
It's at that moment you see a number of guards begin to exit out of the house, led by what appears to be an elven male. Light, kind of sandy brown hair, tied up in some like high braids, kind of leading the way. Clearly set aside from the other guards, while they wear chain shirts and wear lots of the blues and the yellows that you've seen many of the other individuals in here wear. This elf, however, just has straight business attire, like browns, like the full leathers, elven-made weapons, just the whole kit. Just very stereotypical, especially for like Jasper and Freddy, just like very cliche, like mole master stereotypes about elves. As they kind of go over and open the gates and let you all in. You see they escort you up, shutting the gates behind you, barring it. As you enter in, they direct you, instead of going right in the house, they direct you to the left, into number 4, where you see there is a Rory for you. The nostalgia hits immediately as you see it is set up in the same exact kind of eating benches of the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. Like, the exact same style of tables, and you can see, like, hanging up on one of the banners, like, a symbol of Ilmater. And, like, in each set is just very, like, bare benches with, like, plates in front of each one, and at the head of each bench a place where either, like, a Grand Master or one of the senior members of the monastery will sit. And you can see they've all got that kind of, like, small moldings of, like, yellow roses just kind of everywhere. It's very nostalgic. So they lead you to kind of the longest of the tables in here. And seated at kind of the head of it, next to him, you see 2 male humans, 2 female humans, sitting on each side, each one of them that same age. Jasper, you look over, and sitting at the right hand next to Thylius is a face you do recognize. Of your step-cousin, Letitia Goss.
Interesting.
As you take your seats down the line of the bench, you can see 2 other female humans come out and begin serving everyone these incredibly small portions. You can see, like, it is almost just like a $50 sized, like, portion of salad, like 1 leafy green, like 1 bit of, like, carrots, and what appears to be like a heaping, and I say this air quotes, a heaping helping of, like, flower petals on top of it, as is set in front of each one of them, and then yourselves. Well, welcome in. Hi. You must be Freddy's friends and prospective students. I'm Thylius Camritru, master of the house. It's a pleasure to meet you all. May I please have your names? So he looks over to you first, Jove.
Well, thank you for the honor for inviting us into your home and feeding us this meal here. My name is Jove. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I'm called Jasper. It's an honor.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Thylius. I am Rornak, and I must say, such an amazing and peculiar setting that you have for this place.
Oh, do you like it? I modeled it after my travels to the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. I feel at peace when I eat like this. It keeps us
Wow.
close, as he kind of puts one hand on each side, one onto Letitia and one to the human male on his left, giving an extra squeeze over to Letitia Goss.
Making it out to the monastery, I mean, I believe that's out in the glacier. You made a trek all the way out there?
You're well informed, yeah. Well, not by myself, of course. I had the best help money could buy at the time, but yeah. Seen my fair share of yetis and even saw some of those remorazes grazing nearby, but we made it just fine. I'm surprised you know so much. And he kind of takes a sideways look at you.
Yes, well, I have to drift from place to place with my work. I've recently taken up helping Fred here, who you've met as a guard, so I definitely have heard stories, especially some people going into the glacier. Not many make it back out. To see what you see and make it through is truly an achievement.
Well, it's all thanks to what I learned at the monastery. When I went there, I was weak, deflated. Now, I'm so much more. It's like a breath of fresh air on life, you know? I was hoping that might be something you are interested in. I know Freddy over here is.
Well, I'm something of a traveler as well, and spent many time in rough terrain. If you're saying that whatever it is you teach here could help me out there when things get rough, I'm curious to learn more.
I am of the same mind. I could certainly use some relief in my times going through things, and well, frankly, I'm fascinated to hear what you've learned.
And what about you, Jasper? His head kind of cocks to the other side, twisting it like, instead of to the side left and right, it's almost like he turns it to the side and then tucks his head, this odd angle. Almost like a bird nesting into itself.
Frankly, I'm just here on work guarding the young cloak, but I've heard amazing things about what you're capable of, and to be honest, I've never been partial to food, and the fact that you seem to be able to not eat as much is appealing to me.
Oh, just not eating as much is just the start of it. The masters of the Breath of the Yellow Rose can go without food, without water, without breathing. Just the very sense of nourishment, the very air itself, just a breath can sustain you. But I warn, to become a master of the Breath of the Yellow Rose is not an easy task. It requires sacrifice, dedication, and faith. Above all else, faith. In the teachings and in your teacher, me. Oh, I'm so rude. Students, you may partake in sustenance. And you see all four of the students at the same time all kind of reach and begin to eat the smallest bites of their food, trying to eat as little and as quickly and as small bites as possible to make it last longer. It's this just strange franticness, but also a hesitation to engage in actual nourishment. So, have I
Well,
piqued your interests? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
Oh, I was just gonna ask what I don't know, I'm something of a storyteller myself, and I was just curious if there was a story behind the whole yellow rose piece of it. I just don't think of, I don't know, sustaining and breathing with roses and not yellow roses. I don't know, just curious if you could give us a little more on what we may or may not be signing up for, should you have us.
Oh, well, such stories and such things to be known are for students and those seeking enlightenment, not for those of half merits. Looking pointedly at you, Jove. I don't wish to belay those who would not dedicate themselves properly. This knowledge is not for the faint of hearts, nor those of common aspirations. Were you to accept, you would immediately move here, be part of our dormitories, begin with our classes, learn our ways, partake in restricting your diet, engaging in sacred teas and sacred prayers, and following me as your teacher, your leader, and your friend.
How would we prove ourselves to you exactly?
Well, by dedication to learning the ways. Would you like to have our very first class after lunch?
If the cloak is game, I suppose I am too.
You know, I'm here for a good time and a long time.
Wonderful. Well, then let's make this quick. Begin preparing our tea. Quickly, if you will. And with the wave of his hands, the two women kind of hurriedly rush back into the kitchen. You can hear the kind of movements of pots and water and other such noises as Thylius, in one kind of graceful scoop, eats the entirety of his plate with just a... And then as soon as he rises, his other students stand up and begin to follow him as he leads out through kind of the dining area, back through the library into the training room. You have a few moments. As you look at the very small portions of food on your plates. How would you like to proceed, party?
Unless.
I'll eat it.
Yeah. Rornak will eat it and be ready to join for this class.
Ready to die.
Wait, is it the silk root? Can I tell if it's the silk root looking at it?
Go ahead and roll nature.
You said nature, right? That is a 19.
Decidedly not silk root. However, you do notice that these are indeed petals from both the yellow roses and some of the indigenous flowers of the monastery, all the way down here. Though your monastery is not keen on eating said roses, their fragrance is unmistakable to you with that 19.
Definitely gives Rornak some insight on on how things are already starting to get a little construed here with the monastery, but recognizing it and knowing it's not the silk root, he will go ahead and partake and eat it.
It's not a bad salad, just really small.
It's a lot for me.
It's a full portion. It's a full meal.
Yeah, Jove eats his and then reaches into his pouch and gobbles up a jerky really quick.
Yeah, it's like, Joe, that's not even a full mouthful for you. Jasper, Freddy.
I eat it.
Not a half bad salad.
If it looks like they are expecting us to eat, she will, like, in kind of one move, peel up the bottom of her mask and shove the very small portion into her mouth and then put it back down quickly without even glancing at Letitia.
Salad consumed. You all begin to head towards Freddy, you leading the way, towards the training room, as it is called. Entering in, you can see that the Letitia, the three other young humans, all kind of take that same pose. Rornak, you recognize immediately that it is indeed the same meditative pose that you do. Begin to kind of fan out. Looking across, you can see the windows are clean and visibly out. You can see, Rory, now you can see the same like as Freddy saw earlier, that large floral garden in the back of this like property. A small kind of looks like gardening cottage out towards the back, and the yellows and blues that are so familiar to your monastery. Forthylis turns and says, "Well, for our first lesson, let's take it easy on him, shall we? Let's just focus on breathing and a bit of tea. Would you all copy your fellow students and take your first pose?"
I do.
Excellent. That is what I would like to hear confirmations on those ones.
Yeah, as soon as Freddy starts, Jasper will too.
Rornak will take the pose.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable pose for Jove. It's not usually how he sits, but
You feel very tight, Jove.
you hear him kind of harumphing around, but he settles.
Thyles smiles. and begins leading you all through a series of what is essentially hyperventilation of inhaling and exhaling and holding your breath in strange intervals that makes you feel kind of that lightheadedness after a while. Could have you guys all roll a Constitution saving throw. Rornek, you may roll with advantage.
Ooh, 19.
16.
21.
21.
God damn.
You all, having seen Rory do this on a number of different occasions, but also out of just pure tenacity, were able to follow through the first beginnings of these breathing exercises. You can see some of the nobles on the other side of the room's face turn a couple different colors, but they seem to be doing all right. Specifically, Letitia seems to be completely unfazed, almost immediately falling into what appears to be almost a meditative stance. After the better part of a half hour of following this practice, you hear the sounds of footsteps as the two women from the kitchen return and place in front of everyone, Thylius included, a thing of tea. The breath of the yellow rose.
I'm gonna look over at Rory, see what he thinks of the tea.
Rory will inspect the tea, and do I notice anything that Rornak would recognize here?
Go ahead and roll me nature.
Of course. It's another 19.
This is a tea that is made with some of the yellow rose and other. You can see it's at first smell, it does smell like regular tea. However, there is an earthiness to it. Like something has been added.
Yeah, kind of inspecting that. Rornak will look over the tea and then give a look back real quick to Freddy and kind of squint his eyes and cock his head real quick. Almost as if going for like a no motion, but just only doing it to one side. Like not falling back the other way, just a quick as he squints at you.
Saved.
The breath of the yellow rose focuses on the breath, about pulling in energy from the very air itself. I find that inhaling the vapors of a fine tea can help facilitate the idea of pulling the very energy from the air. And you see he holds up the tea cup to his mouth, and you see the other students do the same. They hold that for breathing out. And they do this a number of times until the tea begins to hit room temperature. And as the vapors begin to stop, finally, on the inhale of a breath, they all drink the tea.
I do too.
You drink the tea, Freddy. It is a room temperature tea at this point after breathing in and out the vapors of it. This long, just arduous process. It's not bad. Just tastes like unsweetened tea. Maybe a little rosy.
Yeah, Jove would have followed along with the breathing in technique and doing that whole thing over the tea, but when it came time to sip in the tea, he'll mimic a sip, let the liquid hit his lips, but he's not actually gonna inhale, to quote former President Bill Clinton.
Gotcha.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think Jasper's gonna like take a sip but hold it in her mouth and not actually drink it.
See how long that lasts. Roll me Constitution saving
Yeah.
throw.
Okay. Uh, 14.
14. You're able to hold it for the time being. As it sits underneath
is
your
it
tongue.
like rank or?
Tastes like tea.
Okay.
Rornak.
Good.
Rornak.
Good.
Rornak will look at the tea and he will, kind of similar almost to Jove, will hold the cup and like make purchase with the lips, but does not drink any of the liquid. Almost like kind of feign sipping it.
Gotcha. Can I have Rory and Joe both make me a sleight of hand check?
So wait.
Of course. That is a 23.
Ooh, nat 20.
Yeah.
Nice.
You put it up and you guys both put the glasses back down, having successfully pantomime drinking. Well, not a bad first breathing exercise. However, now the physical training begins. Ovan! And you see entering into the room a human male, a shaved head, the eyebrows even shaved off, completely hairless, wearing dark blue robes, cinched together and hanging from his neck a medallion of Ilmater. A human male enters in. Yes, Thylius. Would you begin teaching the stances? Oh, of course, Thylius. Whatever you say. And begins to head to kind of the front of the classes. Thylius stands and takes a step back as you see him get into what we describe as like a typical horse stance, and begins going through a range of like motions of long stretches, powerful stances. And begins going through some very like basic movements. However, they begin to get harder. The flexibility becoming more difficult to maintain. Can I have you guys make me these ones are going to be acrobatics checks.
Okay.
18.
8.
Shit. Twinsies. 8.
Jove.
Oh, I got 5.
5. Rornak, you go through these exceptionally well. Very well, in fact. In fact, you find yourself overtaking Ovan for a moment as he goes through these movements that you know so well, far slower. The rest of you, however, legs cramp up, muscles feel like they're pulling. You feel a fire as you are also having to hold your breath during parts of this. You feel the sweat begin to pull on you, and it's not long with all those being under a 10 before the three of you are on the ground, exasperated, just and you hear a chuckle from Thylius as, like fish gasping for air, you are left in kind of this just like you can't get enough air into your lungs. But as the laughter stops, Ovan turns and locks eyes with you, Rornak. Do I know you?
I don't believe so. We've never met.
Your movements, they're exceptional.
Yes, well. When you are a traveled adventurer, one must always learn to be one with their surroundings. That takes dedication, what you might call meditation.
You can see Ovan turns over to Thylius. Thylius meets his gaze. Well, I think that's enough for today, don't we think? Perhaps some outside meditation's now in order. So, as he looks over to some guards, back to Ovan, and Ovan immediately walks into kind of the guard's proximity as he begins to lead his way out of the training hall in a quick-footed fashion. How was the first lesson? A little bit less philosophy on this one. More of putting you through your paces.
Yeah, I'm not as limber as I once was. Yeah, that was pretty hard on the body.
Jasper kind of just nods in agreement with what he said.
Indeed, it is a very disciplined way of training yourself.
And how you doing down there, Fred? D?
I don't know if I'm cut out for this whole Rose thing.
You know, after watching you guys, I think I might agree. You know, I just don't think that it's for all of you. But you know what? It was a pleasure to teach a class. And see kind of the air in here. It almost has a sour tinge to it.
Well, this is our first time doing this. Surely we can learn.
You know, it's funny watching you. It's almost like you already knew. A real knack for this. Puts everybody, including all but one of my students. But you. And his focus peers intensely at you. Almost gliding across the room, getting closer and closer with every utterance of the word you. You.
Rornak matches that stare and just says, "Prodigies do exist. And there are ways of training your body in different ways than everything that you've all been taught."
Cocks his head to the other side. Well, I suppose you're right. There are more than one way that the wind blows. So, should you be gathering your things to move in? You can see that in this time that the sun, what felt like a combination of 15 minutes, but also the longest eternity of your life has actually been the better part of 3 hours. The sun has moved. The shadows begin to kind of fall upon the house. You can see a number of the students out in the yard, currently sat upon the flowers. His kind of eyes dart from each one of you quickly. Hardly a blink in between each eye movement.
Well, Freddy's the one actually paying me to be here, and gave him my word that I would fulfill a job for him. So wouldn't be really right for me just to break my word and move in all willy-nilly like that.
Man, I can't move in because I gotta be in the cloak tower. They get kind of mad if I'm just not there all the time.
Shame. I guess you'll have to leave then. Toodles! And Scaramitru immediately begins to just move through the door. You see a number of the guards immediately come back in.
Before we go, Master Thylius. Zoethylius.
You see a head kind of hangs down from the banisters, almost languishing over it. The wind of the room almost twirling. Yeah, Fred. E.
Should my prodigal son associate here decide to look more into the Yellow Rose, would the Ovan or possibly a different teacher still be able to be found at the whatever monastery you went to?
Oh, if you are strong enough to make it to the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, well, you could find all sorts of teachers there. But I don't have time for those kind of talks. I'm called elsewhere. Pack at things. Bye now. And he darts off to the other room. There's a moment before the same kind of guards reappear. Sorry, believe the master's spoken. Think y'all need to take your leave.
Okay.
As you're leaving, can I have you guys all make me a perception check?
Alright, here we go, Jasper.
Whoa, maximum for 19.
Whoa.
I
Not
got
natural 20.
17.
17.
Rolling high.
You all hear, for the first time, what appears to be Thylius' footsteps. Quick and fast. You hear the sound of large birds up towards the upper stairs. And for the first time, many of you notice the number of what appears to be large scratches on the stairs as you pass into the foyer. The guards at your side seem tense. And just as you guys make it out through the front door.
Insight on that?
Yes, but hold on just 1 second.
Okay.
As you guys make it through kind of that open way of the door, you hear what sounds like a piece of furniture moving. And the soft voice of Ovan, Thylius, for that same sound. And go ahead and roll me the sight.
14.
14. They're not weapon marks. They appear to be scratch marks. as you continue out through the door, and with those good rolls, you can see, looking out through the window, another one of these elven individuals. Another one, different. This one instead wearing more metal armor, instead of like a short sword at the side. Appears to have these thick leather-like gloves on. A bit of feathers kind of adorning a necklace around their neck. Watches you from the window as you guys walk down the path. The gate is unbarred and you walk through off of Thylius's compound as the gate shut and the wooden bar is placed back over it.
Jasper lisps the bottom of her mask and spits out the teeth.
Everybody make a dexterity saving throw.
Cool.
There we go. 22.
Natural
oh
20.
man, Jasper, you're supposed to be good at this.
We're all limbered up.
13.
9?
And you spit it right on your own shoe. Just
The
Whatever. As long as it's not in my body.
yeah, that's Mole Master, right?
Mole Master, as long as it's not in my body.
Jesus.
Yes, no.
Shut up. So, well, we've confirmed the presence of Ovan.
Didn't really seem like the mastermind behind it, though. Seemed kind of like a lackey.
Indeed. But no mistaking, he is from the actual monastery.
So
Anyone else see that elf in the window with a feathered medallion?
Yeah.
Who wants to bet that that's a necklace of a particular cult?
Well, shit.
I mean, I don't really like the gamble.
Didn't you just gamble like 1,000 gold on ourselves?
Literally.
It's not
Every-
gambling if the odds are betting on winning and making a lot of money or dying and not needing money anyway.
Sure. Okay.
I think it's only betting on yourself or something along those lines, right?
Yep, always bet on Fran. That's what they say.
Well, that place gave me the absolute creeps. I had a feeling that whatever they were doing up there was up to no good, but yeah, I don't know. Everybody seemed intent. Did you feel those guards on the way out? I mean, they seemed jumpy, and those weird claw marks on the stairs. It's just the whole complex. It's weird.
Well,
It's interesting
to
that they would
add
be
to the
jumpy on the way out, because they seemed fine when we were coming in.
I think it might have had something to do with the noises upstairs.
I likely think so as well. And honestly, even from my perspective, the customs are just off in a strange way. I mean, the salad, even the tea, it all just feels off. It's not what is taught at the monastery, but it's just surprising. If somebody is actually there at the monastery supposedly teaching him, then why does it have this feeling of like almost someone imitating, like someone trying so hard to be something else by investing in it, if that makes sense, you know?
It wouldn't be the first time that a culture's been bastardized. I mean, I'm sure y'all have tasted food from regions that you're more familiar with here at Mole Master, and let's just say Mole Masterites aren't the best at cooking things other than fucking stew.
To add a fun extra layer of complexity to this situation, I'm sure you didn't notice, Freddy, because you don't know our extended family too well, but Silas's favorite student is our cousin, Letitia.
Okay.
Goss, if it wasn't obvious.
Yeah, I
So,
figured it wasn't somebody that I cared about.
so we can assume that his other followers probably are nobles or ties to it.
Yeah, he definitely only has interest in people that have something to offer. He's not just accepting students. He wouldn't have talked to us if I wasn't a cloak, and he certainly wouldn't have talked to any of you if you were in association with a cloak. So he's definitely got an ulterior motive than just running a school and having students.
Knowing this place, you can tell me the difference between Ilmater and Bane.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
The question is, how do we put a stop to the drug running and Ovan without also putting an end to Azor and Zora? Or are we just consigned to committing a very illegal crime twice?
That's something to talk about, and I don't think it's something that we can figure out right on the spot. So it's definitely something where more discussion is warranted.
Well, we got a lot of shit to do in the coming days. We gotta deal with this quick. If not tonight, then
Yeah, I think that there's no way we're getting back in through those gates without us jumping them or something like that. I think we've worn our welcome. And in fact, if there is anything, well, there's certainly something sketchy going up in there. And who knows, things could get moved. And I guess what I'm trying to say is we might want to strike when the iron's hot, because who knows, those folks could be, you know, prisoners up there. We've seen wild stuff. We've seen people not being who they actually are. So who knows? Maybe we could end up not killing Azora and Zor, but maybe freeing them from whatever bondage that they may be under, mental, magical, or otherwise. But could be a win. But that's got all the makings for a cult. I mean, charismatic leader, scared people, some sort of druggy business on the side, knowledge being cloistered away only for the people who are willing to sell everything and move. Hope this is not sounding, disparaging to your ways, Rornak, but I think this is a little bit different here.
You think perhaps he swayed our Ovan here? I will admit that part does. It is something I'm not comfortable with thinking about.
I didn't get a feeling, and maybe this is just my gut being hungry after having a couple flower petals, but I got from Ovan fear, not respect or any other sort of good kind of feeling, loyalty, anything like that. It felt like he was scared.
so how do we intend to storm this particular castle? At night, I assume. It's already late.
Do have access to a spell that will make our entrance silent.
So, very late into the night then, when hopefully all of them are asleep. We'll just go in through the door then. There'll likely still be guards to contend with.
Yeah, I doubt that a sketchy operation is gonna just have no guard at any hour.
Yeah, if we can, I'd be willing, or maybe somebody who's a little more incognito than myself, we should maybe set up some surveillance until we decide the hour that we're actually going to strike, just to make sure that we can maybe, I don't know, time out guard exchanges, that sort of thing, to at least give ourselves the most information that we can before we just start hopping walls.
I could probably post up on a nearby roof and keep an eye on things.
Yeah, maybe I should help you with that, because I love you, Jasper, but sometimes you can't see your own hand in front of your own face, so...
She looks around like, everyone's just gonna agree with that?
And then everybody agrees with that.
You have literally missed your own hand in front of your own face before.
Jasper was
I don't
this
know.
many days old when she found out that the party does agree that she's not very perceptive.
Well, fine. Come with me then, I guess. She like shrugs her shoulders like she's like, fucking whatever.
Go ahead and roll a deception check to see if you're bothered.
I'm like, Buffett.
You love about her.
Are you bothered though?
Oh my god.
She's
Even with
very
my
bothered.
+5, 7.
Oh, she's bothered.
Very bothered.
Everyone could tell that Jasper is very bothered.
Pick a roof then, you so observant god.
Oh, I can't see which of these buildings have roofs.
She looks like she almost raised a fist to hit you there.
One last angle. Rornak, I don't know much about your order or anything. And like I said, I'm going off of gut feelings off of Ovan and all of that. I don't know, it seemed like you two shared a moment there. Do you think you might be able to appeal to his reason or loyalty or anything like that, to your connection back to the Yellow Rose? I know that's going out on a limb to, and really I think maybe that window has passed in some ways, but I don't know. I'm just curious if you think, in your order, does going out and teaching like this, is this sort of like an excommunication type deal? I guess I don't know how much shit Ovan is in with your folk.
Well, I can tell you right now that this use of Silk Root and the extra fluffing of the customs at the Yellow Rose, I can't imagine that someone from the monastery would just go out of their way to do that. If they did, again, I'd feel they'd be sinister, but if we're going off your intuition and they're scared, then I could potentially appeal to him. If he perhaps feels like we could help him, or that we're an opportunity out, then yeah, I could see what I could do.
And was that the real deal in there, or was that some rich boy just getting other folks addicted to Silk Root and just gathering people around him and that sort of thing? They teaching, I guess, what you actually were taught up in the is the snake oil, or are they dealing in real cards up there?
Well, again, stuff like the salad and something extra in that tea. There's something in there that wasn't normal, I could tell. Stuff like that feels fluffed up, almost touristy in a way, but I can say that the breathing techniques, the positions, the training, the discipline, that is all what I have been taught. So that part is genuine, and I'm sure Ovan, of course, has to do with that.
So y'all drank the tea, huh?
Oh no.
Oh
Hell
yeah.
no.
Well, how you feeling, Freddy?
I mean, that's kind of why I did it, because I knew none of you fuckers were gonna have the fucking balls to do it.
There was a chance.
GM, how am I feeling?
You know, kind of hungry, but like besides that, limber, well hydrated. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just the case of bastardizing the culture of the monastery and kind of just taking the whole Yellow Rose thing too literally and trying to
Yeah.
incorporate in everything they do. They
Well-
probably like use Yellow Rose mashings as lube or something.
You think those people in there fuck?
Someone does.
Someone.
Someone in that
This-
group definitely fucks.
This whole time, Rornak, and he doesn't have the mask on. You see, he's just giving you the look.
Peyton Manning stare.
You're right.
I don't know. I feel like we're missing something. There's some piece on the board that we're not seeing.
I mean, the resolution.
Alright, well, let's go find the roof, Joe.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you guys head a little bit away from the complex. You've got two options, actually. You could, since we are so close to the Wall of Mulemaster, there is the Wall of Mulemaster. However, it's a solid, 40 feet plus up in the air. But that would look directly down on the complex. Or there is a, shorter, like 10, 12 foot tall buildings around the outskirts towards the front of it that you could get up onto.
The wall is honestly perfect. I have a 50-foot rope, so I can just scale it and send it down for Jove.
Absolutely,
Obviously,
yeah.
We want to wait till it's like pitch black out before we do something like that. But yeah, I think that's the best course of action.
Totally, yeah. You guys kind of have your conversations and think about what's the best way to how you're gonna fuck this pig, skin this cat. And night does approach. The shadow of the wall on the northern side, crossing over all the properties beneath it. Before you see the final kind of last bits of light fade and darkness overtakes this area, away from some of the big forges and lit streets towards the center of Mulemaster. It is surprisingly dark in the shadowed corner in the northern part of the city. Jasper, I don't need any rolls from you because you have boots of spider climbing. So you walk the 40 feet straight up and get on top of that wall, letting down a rope for Jove. Jove, I will need you to make me an athletics check.
Can do. My buff boy. Let's see it. Nice. That's an 18.
Yeah, absolutely. Jasper walks up, and then Jove climbs the rope. You guys begin to sit and watch the grounds of Thylius's compound. While they are doing this, Rory and Freddy, what are you guys doing as your companions scale this wall?
I propose that we just kind of stay at a nearby location, just keep an eye on the front gate.
Yeah, absolutely. While Jasper and Jove are scaling this wall and looking there, you guys kind of set up a shop about 100 feet or so away from the kind of front gates, watching, timing to see what kind of guards go up there. Could I have, in my double pairs, perception checks from my two parties?
And do.
Yes, and you may assist each other or do that as you wish.
15.
I'll.
Sorry, not nat 20 for mine.
No, natural 20, 15.
I already rolled, so I guess I should just take that. It's 10.
10. Jove?
17.
17. Yeah, watching you, my individuals at the front gate, You watch one guard goes by, checks the gate, heads back. About 6 or 7 minutes later, a different guard comes, checks the front gate, leaves. 6 or 7 minutes later, you watch this kind of go by for a number of minutes. My individual's at the top with your rolls up there. Looking down, you do see what appears to be a trio of guards doing kind of like a triangle pattern across, going from like the gates to the side, across the back. If I could pull up the map I pushed it. Go from like the gates and follow the path around, just kind of circling, checking the outside walls, kind of going from like gate at number 1 to the area number 2 to that little garden. We can count that as garden shed number 3, and then back to number 1 as they make this kind of every 6 or 7 minutes they hit that point. You also see, Jove, now that you can see the balcony in the back, you can see that it's open-aired, and you can see a number of what appears to be aviary-style cages hosting a number of what appears to be ravens, all on the back. And some currently empty, but even larger cages, almost as if they're made for one large creature. As the night goes on, you time this out. You can see that inside the house, the movement appears to be still. You can see that the lights do appear to be on in the library and in the kitchen and Thylius's room. As you are kind of like scanning this, Rornak and Jove with my natural 20 and my 17. The wind begins to pick up. And at first, you just think it's the wind of Mulemaster, especially you, Jove, up here high in the wall, looking down onto this area. Begins to pick up. And then goes still. And you hear just a ever so light as you both kind of look up, trying to find the origin of this breathy laughter. You see these small creatures descending, almost like swirling clouds of dust storms. And at first, you just think it's a movement of the air before they solidify, and you see twisted avian faces begin to appear out of them. And you point your party members up as you see each of you, each pairing, sees a trio of these dust-like avian creatures descending upon you. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy.
Aw,
Oh,
shit.
boy. How'd they find us?
We were so sneaky.
And that is a question we will have to ask in the following game. Let us say goodnight to chat.
Good night, chat.
Night, chat.
Good night, chat. Thank you so much for being here for episode 34. We truly do appreciate it. Since by the time we see you next week, well, next week we'll wish it to you. Never mind. It's spooky season, and unless something comes up, we'll have a Halloween game.
I cannot be here.
Well, then we're not having a Halloween games.
Yeah, one of my trivia mates has their birthday, so I have to spend time with them.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that a little bit after this one. So if we don't see you in any way, shape, or form, happy Halloween, audience. Thanks, viewers. Party, let's say happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween. Ooh.
Happy spooky season. Peace in the Middle East. Good night. Much love.